Hello everyone, and welcome to today's video. The title of this video is The Faith Crisis Business. And I've spent quite some time researching and examining the arguments put forward by those opposed to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In particular, the Mormon Stories podcast is a rather popular production. Today, I want to examine the operation. The man behind it all is John DeLynn, an intelligent man who's had success in many areas of his life. I don't doubt for a minute that he is well-intentioned and truly believes he is doing what is right. Through his podcast, he gives people a chance to speak freely and openly about what they've experienced in the church. He provides no judgment towards people. John provides a lot of support for those that are experiencing what is sometimes called a faith crisis. People have a particular belief in God and Jesus Christ, and in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, when they discover new information or learn new things they didn't know before, can bring on this faith crisis. Latter-day Saints aren't the only ones who experience it. It happens to anyone who has faith. You might find it with Jehovah's Witnesses, those who are Muslims. It happens. Now, here to help you with the transition and to live a new life without your faith is John DeLynn and many others. I hope to provide a different perspective on what I consider to be a business or the business of a faith crisis. I want to reiterate that John, I'm sure, has the best intentions with what he is doing, him as well as others, but as the adage goes, the best of intentions can lead men to hell, whether you believe in that literally or not. One way to look at all this is to consider it like many other models you might find online. There's a popular website and a sales building channel called ClickFunnels. You find a niche in the market and draw people into your point of sale and close. In this instant, the sales funnel involves planting seeds of doubt across the world for people to see, drawing them to your website, and then bang, closing that sale. So let's take a look at some of the marketing. Some of the best examples I've seen of this are the billboards that have been taken out, encouraging people to find themselves in positions where they are met with challenges to their faith. These billboards are placed predominantly in Latter-day Saint communities. The challenge it sets up supposes that Latter-day Saints don't know their religion, and that Mormon Stories has more to offer them. This draws people into the landing spot where they can peruse and be exposed to what is on offer. The first layer is a website with access to podcasts and other resources. Another type of funnel is the subreddit Ex-Mormon, a place where John is a frequent poster. Ex-Mormon is a place where people come to meet with others who've lost their faith or are questioning it. So when we land at Mormon Stories, there are a few revenue sources. We have donations, we have ads from YouTube. Although John has stepped away from coaching, he still has his services online for everyone to see. His rate is $200 per hour for this kind of coaching. He has resources to a number of other people who are in the business of helping people live after a faith crisis. So is it really about the money? I've heard someone argue a few points, like this one here. Quote, I know people don't like him, and that's fine, but he is transparent about his work. He's risked a lot to do it. He generates tangible money value for many people and gives back. It's fine, he gets paid. I don't know why people are so upset that someone who creates something profitable makes money off of it. Do all quote-unquote good people need to be in poverty? It seems like society absolutely hates egoistic altruism. Okay, I will never fault a person for making money or for pursuing their goals and achieving them. But we have to accept there are legitimate means of income and making money, and there are illegitimate means of making money. And the question that I'm going to pose today is whether or not this type of business is a moral one. On the surface, it may seem so. But I think if you dig a little bit deeper and if you dig a little bit underneath, you'll see that there's more to the story here. A handsome sum of money is received in all this, and I don't think it's necessary to disclose how much money is involved, but I imagine John is living very well. I think people need to consider the benefits of running a nonprofit, and it is one way to reduce one's tax burden. Just because someone is running a nonprofit doesn't mean they are living as paupers. The question is not so much that he makes money, it is more a question of the way in which he makes his money, and is that way ethical? Is it moral to be in the faith crisis business? You might argue it is just opportunism and people taking opportunities as they rise. If someone is willing to give you money, why not take it, right? Once again, there's more to the story here. The primary concern I have is for many people who are struggling with their faith, who have doubts or uncertainties. A great deal of what John and other coaches and those in the business of faith crisis is for someone to be at a very low point in their spiritual and religious lives. And one thing that takes them there is, I would argue, the ex-Mormon community and publications like the CES letter. The CES letter, as many other publications, are designed to present information to people in a seemingly passive way, such as questions for the church education system. But when read, there are things thrown at readers who've likely never heard them before, and they are given the hose and the person cranks it up full blast for the person to try to drink. They are overwhelmed, they are shocked in some cases, and the information does not always match what they have learned thus far. Now, what else should we expect people to do? This is where I find it morally questionable to be in this position of money-making from people who've had a fire hosed down their throat, trying to breathe, trying not to drown, and they are left at a low. After inserting the hose, John DeLynn and others then offer the person to remove the hose and to pick them back up and try to piece together their lives if things are truly at a crisis point. They find a new home amongst people who are very bitter and upset about the church, and they grow comfortable amongst what would be considered taboo, such as disparaging the church and leaders. The nature of the internet allows for this hose effect. We can be bombarded in ways that we couldn't be previously with information. Not everyone has the hose effect, of course. Some are given pieces of information with adequate context and explanation. This has a drastically different effect on people when they are examining church history. They are given a chance to breathe, to understand, and to comprehend what they are hearing and reading about, and I would say far few people have that experience of a faith crisis. And this is not the demographic or the kind of person that can then likely lead to a profit or income source for those who are in the business of the faith crisis. Now, the internet is the way that it is. The CES letter is the way that it is. These conversations begin in different ways for different people. But for those who are in the business of making money on this, it's in their best interest that this hose effect is implemented and is given. Give a person as much as they can at once. It shocks them to their system, and boom, you have them. That's how I see it. So I'll ask again, is this a moral operation? I don't think it is personally. I find that most people who have a faith crisis decide they no longer believe, drop it, but some have seen the opportunity to make money in it all, and I think people like John fill that space. You can't, with a good conscience, help a person pick up the pieces of their lives that you help to unravel. To use the hose analogy again, you can't put the hose in someone's mouth and then offer them ways to recover from their trauma after that hose is pulled out. Now, I've been arguing for quite some time that people should be given a fair go with the information they receive in relation to church history. They shouldn't have the hose shoved down their throats. I think there is a greater balance now with the release of Gospel Topics essays and others who make the case for the church. But there is still this trend of hip people who are making it cool to be exmo, quote-unquote, who spend so much time and effort on something they don't believe in, and of course find ways to monetize grievance. We are in a time that is not too dissimilar to other areas of history. Where there is any perceived moral or political or religious authority, there have been great and also terrible moments in history where those power structures are seen as evil. The church in Russia was turned on. In the Russian Revolution, in the French Revolution, it happened as well. We live in an era of distrust where we assume the worst in organizations and in people. It's kind of cool to be a revolutionary, a rebel, as those who oppose large organizations like a church can be seen as saints or revolutionaries engaged in a noble cause. There are some people that are quite invested in toppling, or at the very least discouraging, a particular church because they believe it is the source of some great evil. It makes for a trove of content, as we've seen with the examples that I've given. An almost endless stream of grievance, anger, or rage that they've been hard done by in some way. We all experience this at times in our lives, from family members, from friends, from someone in our religious circle. But what I find most troubling is that post this experience, there is too little forgiveness, too much rage, and no opportunity for reconciliation or peace to be made between people, and even between religions or organizations. The sad reality as well is the content generators are best rewarded by outrage, gotcha moments, and demonization. Demonization leads to greater monetization. Demonize to monetize is the motto. I feel for those who experience a faith crisis and feel worse for them when they are caught in the click funnel, the revenue stream, the coaching net of those who want to make money from them in their weakest moments. That's it for today's video. I want to thank you for listening and thank you for hearing me out. I'd love to have a conversation and a dialogue with you if you are happy to. Leave a comment and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.